From girls trying to put on their own braces to crazy genetic tooth diseases, we got the craziest videos we found from this week of all over the entire web. I'm Dr. Winters, aka the Bentist, educating you guys, and we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. Now in today's first video, we have a girl who decided that she's just gonna go play orthodontist herself and put on her own brackets and braces. Now I have no idea what to expect, so we're gonna react to this video and see exactly what she did right, or if she did things terribly wrong. I'm not gonna lie, she probably did things terribly wrong, but we just gonna have to find out together. All right, here we go. She's putting on, well, at least she's got etchant. By the way, I'm gonna pause it right here. That blue etchant is actually really dangerous. It's like phosphoric acid, 37% usually. And so if you get this on your skin, it will actually burn it and cause scars. So the fact that she's just kind of willy-nilly throwing this stuff on there, you gotta be really careful, because that's why we have dental suction. We have the water and air and everything to make sure we get it off the teeth without it touching anything. I'm assuming she's probably just gonna try and rinse it out of her mouth with water. And just so you know, that can be kind of dangerous if you're trying to do this stuff. But let's continue. All right, so she's brushing it with something. That's fine. Okay, now she's got the... Okay, now we're skipping through a lot of steps here. Okay, so the first step is you've got to put on this little primer. Okay, so this primer is this stuff that goes on after the etchant, okay? And then you light cure that, and that creates the glue between the tooth and the bracket. And then you put the glue she showed on the bracket, and then the bracket on the tooth. So she is lighting it here. Let's see how it goes. Okay, she's brushing her teeth. They're on. Now the problem is if because she didn't put the primer on there, I mean, I saw she had the bottle, so I'm assuming maybe she did it. Well, they're not gonna stick very good if you don't have that primer. But let's assume she did the primer. Let's see what we got. Okay, so the first crazy thing that shows me is that her bracket placements are way off. If you guys don't know, when you put a bracket, you want it to be exactly inside the middle of your tooth so that that tooth can go up, down, in, out. And the way that her bracket is, like this one on the upper left one that's blue here, it's actually turned like this on a straight tooth. And so if she puts a wire in there, that tooth is just gonna go, you know, and it's gonna crisscross and go crazy. Another one is down here on this lower canine. You can see that her canine is way lower than it is, and she's got the bracket running perfectly across, which means that tooth's not gonna come up or anything at all. The second crazy thing is I don't see a wire at all. Okay, so if there's no wire, those teeth aren't moving or doing anything. All they're gonna do is go like this, which is gonna really be kind of nasty. And then the third thing is she put power chain on right out of the gate, putting in this very dangerous thing to do, especially with no wire. What her teeth are gonna do are absolutely dump in on each other and start crowding up and going inward, because that force of the power chain is to constrict, but you're supposed to only use a very strong wire in your mouth to hold your teeth steady so that your teeth do this versus this. So overall, just a lot of things I wouldn't do here. Dangerously putting on etchant and stuff without an evacuation system beyond your teeth, putting power chains on right out of the gate, putting the brackets on in the wrong spots, and having no wire all means that basically all she is doing is harming her teeth. So I know you see stuff like this on the interwebs and you think it's cool, but there's a reason why we went through a lot of school and spent a lot of cash out of our pockets to become orthodontists, and it's definitely not to ruin our teeth like this. And if we look at the comments, we actually see two different conflicting opinions here. One says, y'all mad, she did it right, I don't care, y'all always got a problem with somebody else on this app doing something with their life. Well, I do have a problem with people hurting their teeth, and no, she did not do it right. As you just told, I just told you all the things she did wrong. And then somebody else said power chains on crowded teeth will make them worse. Well, at least we have some people looking out. They probably watch my videos and subscribe and follow. You know what I'm saying? You should do that. Okay, this next one is absolutely crazy. It was a young kid who actually had jaw surgery, and well, I would tell you more, but I think I'd rather just show you, because it gets intense. Let's check this out.
I barely got any sleep last night, and my braces keep cutting the inside of my mouth even though it's swollen and sensitive.
Whoa! Holy moly, I did not expect this right out of the gate. What we're seeing here, if you take a look at this in the beginning, this person has a lot of swelling. You see the bruising, you see the yellowness, you see all the stuff going on the face, and that's because this person underwent a jaw surgery, specifically a double jaw surgery. And unfortunately, when you do that, you're cutting through bone, you're pulling things around, you're cutting things up, and yes, this guy unfortunately had a very, very big response showing all that. So I can imagine how much pain this kid is in. And the other thing was, he said his braces keep cutting the inside of his mouth and they're swollen and sensitive. So imagine getting cut open, stitches everywhere, all this swelling, and then you've got these rough braces pushing and hitting on all these cuts and sores. Oh my gosh, this man must be having a rough time. Let's see what the rest of the video, what he says.
And it hurts so bad.
Listen, I hate seeing people like this, and this is not normal. For people out there that are getting double jaw surgeries, listen, it's a big surgery. It's a big thing you're doing. You're moving your jaws around. You can go from this to straight. You can go from big overbites to underbites. This person's jaw was moved around. A lot of crazy things happen. He's probably wired shut on all of these different things. But that being said, this will pass. Time will go on. The swelling will go away, and then he will have what's a long-lasting result. Now, I don't know what this kid looked like prior to this, but I can tell you it was probably way worse jaw-wise if I had a huge underbite like this or something like this. So I know it is crazy. I know it's something you got to deal with, but I promise you it will get better. And I see a lot of people in the comments saying, I don't want to get braces anymore. And someone said, no, my mom said I'm getting braces. But you've got to understand, this is not from braces. This is from a double jaw surgery, okay? Braces align the teeth. This person had a big jaw issue. They literally broke the jaw, moved one jaw, broke a jaw, moved a jaw forward, which I don't even know if you guys know. This is what it looks like, a Lafort 1-2 osteotomy. It's like they literally cut the jaw off the bone, pull it off, and drag it forward and screw it all with like plates and stuff closed. It's pretty wild stuff. So what will happen from here is this guy will basically heal up over the next couple weeks and then have to go back through the final stages of braces just to detail everything out and get it all closed up. But no, this is not for braces. This is something that is from a major jaw surgery, and it only happens a little bit. So don't worry too much about it. Okay, this next one is actually a girl who has a rare tooth disease, something that you don't see very often. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look and see what she has to say. I got my dad's face card, but also this rare tooth condition. Oh my gosh, I see it. I'm gonna pause it right there. You can see it, it happens so quickly. And I know exactly what that is from the moment I see it. And not just because it's on the screen saying it, but this is exactly right. Dentogenesis imperfecta type 2. Now, Bentist, what the heck is dentogenesis imperfecta? Well, your teeth are made of two different layers. Well, three technically if you include the pulp. The outer enamel layer, the inside softer dentin layer, and the pulp. Now, in dentogenesis imperfecta, the dentin or inside layer completely is misformed. It's formed the wrong way, that there's not enough of it, or it's made up of this soft gunky stuff. And so what it is the inside of your tooth is really where your main coloring looks like. So, you know, we see yellow, we see white, we things like that. Well, enamel, the outer layer, is actually clear like a lens. And so when you see through, you see the inner layer of dentin that you're seeing. And that's how teeth are more yellow or whiter or whatever it is. And sometimes if you whiten too much, you can actually see the enamel will turn clear on you a little bit. And so when you look at her teeth, it's a very dark gray, even bluish tint sometimes, because the inside of her tooth is malformed. It's not that nice yellow dentin. It's actually this malformed gray white dentin. Now, in these cases, the enamel can chip off, the teeth can break. She's gonna have to probably get a lot of crowns and things like that in the future to fix this, because these teeth just tend to break down over time. They're not very sturdy. Now, the other thing that I get questioned on here was, what is type 2? What's the difference between type 1 and type 2? Well, it's a genetic disease, right? And so in type 1, it's actually combined with osteogenesis imperfecta. So a bone disease as well as a tooth disease. And in type 2, you only have the tooth disease. So actually, even though it's unfortunate she has this, she's very lucky that she has type 2, not type 1, because then she would have bone disease along with the tooth generation disease of the dentin. Let's see what the top comments say. One said, I have dentogenesis too. I have veneers now, but I've never met or seen somebody else with this disorder. It's actually pretty rare. It's not something you see all the time. And that's exactly what I was saying. She's gonna have to get veneers. She's probably gonna have to get crowns to help fix that. There also is enamelogenesis imperfecta, which affects the enamel, and that just kind of breaks off and is even worse. So dentogenesis imperfecta is probably a little bit better to have than the enamel disorder. Either way, it is still cool to see a rare disease, but I hope that she gets everything that she needs to, gets it all fixed up, gets the crowns that she wants, or whatever, and everything is happy and healthy from there. Okay, this next one, somebody told me that they found somebody with real life vampire fangs. Yeah, we're talking straight out of Twilight Edward Cullen type stuff. I said I don't believe it, but we're gonna watch the video together and see if I can figure out what the heck is going on. All right, I don't see any vampire fangs. My man is acting weird for sure. Okay, no, he's a... Jesus! Those things just popped out of nowhere on me. Okay, alright, my man is either really good at editing or sleight of hand. I am so confusion here. Okay, so when he closes his mouth, I can see he kind of does this. And so I'm assuming maybe he had some like fake ones hiding up here, but that doesn't really explain much. Let's continue looking. When he bit down, it was kind of weird. Oh my gosh, let's see here. See, right here. When he bites down, they disappear. When he bites down for just a split second in the middle of the video, those fangs disappear. And then you can see they just magically come back like a frame later. My guess, unfortunately, is that this is just editing, because I'm thinking that there's no way that that's real. He's probably got some fake ones that he put on and did some morph edit or something, because those are actually pretty well done though, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, honestly, good job. But yeah, right there, when he goes from taking it, he sees it, and then he bites down and they're gone. My man, I don't know what you did, but you're fooling me. Let's see what the comments say. The first one was really up there. You are really very good at editing. Someone else is even out here roasting him, saying, I haven't seen any vampires with bad eyesight in movies. That's true, I've never seen a vampire with glasses before. And then the third one is actually something I didn't even think about. AI. With the advent of AI, it's increasingly difficult to believe anything online. This man could have just used a video editor, one of those new ones going out. VO3 is wow, by the way. You just tell it to add vampire fangs on it. Maybe that's what he did the whole time. Maybe this is all just an AI video. Doesn't mean that I don't want them, because I think that would be sick to just be able to pop out. You know what I've got? I've got canines that I've completely ground flat because I'm stressed out all the time and I need a night guard. In this next video, we have a girl who got into a little bit of a predicament. I don't know how she really got into this situation, but I don't know, maybe you guys can help me help her fix it. Let's go ahead and take a look. Help, how do I fix it? What is that? A sucker? Is that a dum-dum? Oh, it's a tongue ring. So this girl somehow got her tongue ring up inside of her bracket braces and needs help knowing how to fix it. Well, I can tell you how to fix it right now. Unscrew the dang thing. Okay, I'm back after looking at it. Apparently she can't unscrew the dang thing because her nails are too long. But let's go ahead and see the comments, see what they have to say. Somebody said, that's why you should try to avoid getting tongue piercings when wearing braces. Well, I actually do 100% agree with that, because tongue rings can cause a lot of problems. They can chip your teeth. They can actually cause gum resorption, actually cause your gums to go away from licking and hitting it all the time. Somebody said, take it out the way you put it in. That's kind of what I was thinking, because I was like, physically, you can't shove that thing up there underneath the bracket and get it over there. So my guess is she unscrewed it and literally put it through and screwed it back, and she's just literally just playing us for clicks here. It's pretty ridiculous at this point. Someone said, get somebody's help. Yeah, get somebody else to unscrew it if you can't, you weirdo. But yeah, even though I don't like tongue rings and I don't like them, especially with braces, you know what I also don't like? People faking videos for views. Because that's probably exactly what she did. She unscrewed it, she put it through, she screwed the ball back, and she said, my tongue is stuck, I can't get out of there. Because unless she figured out how to teleport her little tongue ring through a braces pocket and then unteleported on the other side, this just did not happen by accident. And for my people with tongue rings and braces, don't worry about it, because this can't happen to you unless you physically unscrew it, stick it through, and then screw it back there, and then also fake a video for clicks. And the real question is, why do girls have nails that long? Like, you physically can't do anything. You're like, I can't touch anything, my nail's too long. I can't even, like, you know, like after they go to the bathroom, like, how does that even work? I don't even know. Now, this next video is something that we deal with all the time in dentistry, in braces and orthodontics, and that is something we call black triangles. Now, in braces world, we do something to get rid of it, but these guys are going at it a different way. So let's go ahead and take a look at how they solve the dreaded black triangle problem. All right, black triangle closure. Okay, now I'm gonna stop it here. You can actually see exactly what we're talking about here. Now, that arrow is pointing right towards what we call a black triangle. Now, black triangles are from where you don't brush or floss very good, and then your teeth and gums get inflamed. We call that gingivitis. Now, once it's inflamed, the bone really does not like to be around inflammation and pain. And so what that bone does is it will start to dissolve and go downward. And the gum is physically attached to that bone. And so if the bone drops, the gum will drop with it. Now, your teeth are triangular shaped and the inside is filled with that gum and bone. And so if it drops and then the gum drops, now all of a sudden you're left with a black triangle. And so that's what we're seeing here, is that black triangle. Now, normally in braces, what we do is we actually polish between it with what we call an IPR disc. We actually take the triangle, we get it into a flat shape by shaving off all this stuff. We shave it away and then we close it up with braces and power chain. But these people are going to do it a different way. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right. Okay, so they're taking measurements here with a probe. All right, I don't know what that does, but maybe that just shows them how much they're gonna have to add. And so they're rubber damming. This is where you have to get all that stuff off. They're gonna start to clean the teeth to make sure it's ready. It looks like they're gonna bond something here. So they're putting that same etchant that we put our braces on. That's the same way we actually do fillings. So they're basically doing a mild filling here. So they're doing the little bonding agent. That's the thing that you put on before you stick it. It's a sandwich layer between the teeth. This is exactly how we put braces on, but this is for a permanent restoration. Now, they're using that little Teflon sheet there because the composite, the glue that we put on there doesn't stick to it. So that way they don't accidentally glue the two teeth together. And now they're going to polish and clean it up, doing the little discs and everything. And my guess is they just kind of filled in the gap with that. Now they're smoothing it off, and look at that, the closed black triangle result. So that is actually pretty crazy because it's cool to see just how close you can get the color of the filling material to the tooth. You don't even really realize that she's got that. Now, she definitely could have just done this with braces and Invisalign, where you just polish between there and we close it up a little bit. In fact, I've got a couple little black triangles from maybe not brushing and flossing as good as I should have when I was a kid. I'm actually going to go through Invisalign and fix it up the old school way. But this is definitely a way to do it. The only problem with this is when she whitens her teeth, these areas underneath will be the same color. So you'll see these little yellow triangles in between. So instead of black triangles, she's gonna have yellow triangles. And also it does have a chance to, you know, break off or get infected underneath it, or, you know, there's just problems with fillings that you don't have with the actual tooth structure. So either way, still a pretty good job, and shout out to Dr. Kiki Norman for doing this. It turned out really, really well. All right, this next one is actually really cool because it's something that I've been wanting to talk to you guys about. It's a guy who brings up a really important part about smiling. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, we got the top smile versus the real smile. It is always crazy to me how somebody's real smile is always more and better looking than somebody's tot smile or forced smile. But that being said, what if I told you that I can actually teach you how to smile like a supermodel? Because most of you people are actually smiling completely wrong, and you can watch this and figure out exactly how to smile yourself. Now, there's always a point where somebody's about to smile for pictures and they say cheese, and at that moment comes and a smile comes out. But what smile are you? And then we'll figure out the bad ones. Let's get into the good ones. Now, the number one bad smile that I see is what we actually call a grimace. And this is when you try and show all your teeth. This happens so often, and when we get people out of braces, they smile like this all the time. And a grimace is this. A grimace is when you pull both of your teeth and you try and show all your teeth like this. This is actually a grimace. You can be a half grimace, you can be a bottom grimace, or you can be a full grimace, which is something we see all the time. And that is actually not how you're supposed to smile, because you'll see that that's not very natural. This is not a natural movement. So when you're smiling and you're happy, you're just kind of slightly opening your mouth, and your lips are normally smiling in a normal generic way that are following what we call your smile line. And so we can actually teach people this, and we do teach models and people like that to smile this way because it's actually the way that they should be smiling. And so I'm going to teach you right now how to have the perfect smile. Step one is you actually don't want to have your teeth touching. So you don't want to be biting down like this. You actually just want to be soft, relaxed, with your teeth slightly apart from each other. That's step one. Now, step two is you do want to smile using the corners of there. Okay, you don't want to pull your lip down or pull your lip up. You just want to use the corners and smile upwards like this. Now, the third aspect of it is that you want to take your lower lip and you want it to touch your edges of your top teeth only. So if you think about it, it's just barely touching the whole lower. So you don't want to like push it and roll it on there, just very lightly on there. So what that'll do is it will cause your lower lip to follow your teeth, or what we call your smile arc. You notice it's not like this. You see how our lower lip is down here. You want your lower lip to follow your upper teeth. So if you do those three things together, you have a relaxed approach. You follow your lower lip against your upper teeth to get that smile arc, and you pull from the corners, you will have a really nice smile that mimics a lot of your natural smile. And if you want to, you can also kind of make yourself laugh a little bit and then just kind of pause and see where you're at. More than likely, you're gonna be close to that exact same perfect smile arc that I just showed you. Okay, this next one is honestly, it's kind of sad. It's a girl who ran into some issues during her pregnancy, and a lot of people commented me in this, and I felt that this was a very important one for you guys to know, especially if you're pregnant or have somebody pregnant in your life. So let's go ahead and see exactly what her story is and what we need to do to talk about it.
I've had a lot of people asking me why and how I don't have teeth at the ripe age of 33.
Now, normally when I see these things, it's due to not taking care of your teeth. Sometimes a little bit of drug usage or things like that, especially at this young. But let's see what she says here.
Let me tell you, it's because of kids, all right? I was pregnant with my daughters and they took all of the calcium out of my body. Not only did they take the teeth out of my head, but they did help me out a little bit by taking calcium deposits that I had all around my body, like in my fingers and in my toes and in my knees.
Okay, lot to unpack here. So basically what she's saying is that she lost all of her teeth because she was pregnant. Now, people believe pretty inherently that babies do remove calcium from their body and take from them. And that's actually true because you see, babies do need calcium. They're growing bones just like that. Now, normally they get this calcium from the mother's diet, but if the mother does not have a good calcium sufficient diet, they actually will pull calcium from their bone centers. Now, where this gets a little mixed up is that they also believe that they pull it from their teeth, and that is actually not true at all because there's not really calcium in the teeth that pulls from. They pull from the bones, not the teeth. And even though there is some calcium in the teeth, enamel is really hard and resistant to calcium leaching because it is super important for your teeth to stay hard and brittle and stuff. So the research studies that I've seen show that there really isn't any pulling of the calcium from the teeth per se when you have kids. But the real question probably dives a little bit deeper, and unfortunately a lot of the times these people don't want to take responsibility for that side, and so they blame it on the babies. Now, I'm not saying this girl's a situation, maybe she has some crazy, I'm not gonna put anything on her, but I'm telling you in general, it's not really the baby. It could have been a lot of other factors though in the pregnancy that could have caused that issue. Now, one thing we see hormonal changes in pregnancy, and so what that can cause is a little more inflammation and plaque buildup and gunk and stuff like that on your teeth. And if you're not cleaning very well, brushing and flossing twice a day, well, you're more prone to cavities at that time. Another thing we see is morning sickness. They throw up a lot. That causes very high acidic levels to go into your mouth and weaken that enamel, making it even easier if you're not brushing and flossing. Another thing is when you're pregnant, you're craving a lot of food. Normally you're eating a lot of sugary, snacky, carbohydrate-y type things, and also you're pretty tired sometimes. So if you're eating a lot of sugary stuff and then you're too tired to brush your teeth at night, that can cause some issues too. So I think you guys are kind of getting what I'm putting up and putting down here is really, it just comes down to not taking care of your teeth. And so with the hormonal changes, you're fatigued, you're tired, you're eating all these snacks, you're causing more inflammation. Yeah, you're probably gonna miss some days of brushing your teeth. And if you do too much, you're gonna get decay just like everybody else. In fact, you're probably more prone to getting it when you're pregnant. But for those scared saying, oh no, I don't wanna get pregnant now because I'm gonna lose all my teeth, that's just purely not true. If you brush your teeth, you take care of them, and you floss them twice a day, I don't care how many babies you're pregnant with, you are not going to lose your teeth. They're not gonna go bad and you're not gonna have any issues with it. But in her case, more than likely, she didn't take care of her teeth. Maybe she had some cavities beforehand. The pregnancy, the hormonal changes, the fatigue, the snacking, all that included, built up on her, and she ended up really causing to damage a lot of her teeth. But let's continue with her video.
I initially went to the dentist a few years ago. I went to Aspen Dental and they told me that it was going to be $28,000 to fix my teeth. I did not have insurance at the time, so I told them to yank those suckers out.
So she had a lot of decay is what we saw here. They said, hey, to fix this, we need to do crowns on everything. We need to do all this stuff. So it's going to cost you $28,000, and that is a lot of money. And more than, they're probably talking about implants, they're probably talking about crowns and root canals and all these different types of things. And unfortunately, this is a situation I see all the time where people just don't have the money to do something, and then they end up saying, you know what, I don't have the money for this, just yank them all out. And that is absolutely the worst idea in the world that you could do, because once those teeth are gone, you are gonna regret it. Because I tell you, I would say 99.99999% out of 100, once they pull all their teeth and go into dentures, they regret it to the fullest, because you don't realize how much you use these suckers, and just the feeling of having teeth, missing that, how much it helps. But let's see where her story went. That is unfortunate that she got all those pulled though. I would have definitely tried to keep them, or at least got one tooth fixed fixed at a time, trying to save every single tooth if possible.
I did end up having a bad feeling about Aspen Dental after the fact, and I went to a different dentist, and they're like, yeah, no, you shouldn't have had them pulled.
Yeah.
We could have done better. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, now that's also unfortunate, and that's why I try and stay away from these corporate dentist chains, because a lot of them just kind of try and maximize profit and maybe don't care as much. Not saying all of them do, but you know, if you're in a corporate situation, a lot of these are backed by private equity groups, and they just want to make money, and they could really care less about the patient. And so always, if you feel something is weird or a major life issue like that, get multiple opinions until you find someone you really wholeheartedly trust before you make a big decision like taking all your teeth out.
I have been consistently losing weight over the past 3 years because I can't eat shit. I'm stuck on a retirement diet where I can't eat anything other than the shit that I can mush with my tongue.
And that's the other biggest thing. Like I said, once you get into dentures, it's terrible. It's a big issue. It sucks. And I really feel for this girl, because now she's going to have to get implants. She's got to get denture supported implants. That's really the only thing she can do. If she doesn't get that, her bone will resorb and her dentures will always not fit, and it's going to be a mess. And she's only 33. She's got the rest of her life to go on. And that's what I'm saying is, make sure you don't fall into a trap like that, especially if you're pregnant. Make sure you're brushing, you're flossing twice a day. You will be just fine if you take care of your teeth. I don't care what you say. I've never seen somebody who's taking care of their teeth get cavities and decay and all that. It's almost always just because they're lying to you. They haven't taken care of them. They're not brushing and flossing twice a day. They're not taking care of it. And then yes, you're in situations sometimes like pregnant or embraces or things like that that make it even more proper to do that. And even still, somebody might get a small cavity between their teeth, but you're definitely not going to get cavities enough on every single tooth in your entire mouth just because they're pregnant if you're taking care of them. And this last one is another magic secret whitening hat that somebody said. They tagged me, and I get tagged in all these all the time, saying, Bentist, you got to look at this one. This whitened his teeth instantly. You got to see it. Please tell me if it's real or if it's fake. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And what if I told you that this one might actually be real and fake at the same time? Let's go ahead and take a look. My girlfriend told me to try this. Oh, I already know exactly what that is.
Alright, time for the real. Holy shit!
Okay, first off, let's take a look at the picture. I mean, when you look at it, you see the yellow there. He's very yellow and very white up top. So obviously, there is some differences there. So let's see if there's anything else crazy I'm missing here.
These are literally veneers in a bottle. These were my teeth a couple months ago, and these were my teeth like 3 weeks ago. These are my teeth now. If you guys haven't tried this stuff out, this is the...
Ow! That's what it is. It's whitening powder, my favorite stuff. And unfortunately, this actually has been a trend for a while that I've been talking about. So what these tooth whitening powders or charcoal powders or any of these things are is basically sandpaper in a bottle. Yes, they literally, if you just take sandpaper shavings and you take them off and you put them in a little bottle, and I said, hey, just dip your toothbrush in some sandpaper and brush the crap out of your teeth. What's gonna happen? Well, fun fact, it will whiten your teeth. For a little bit. It's actually going to rip off the stain of the outer layer of the enamel. And I don't know if you heard that or not, but it's going to rip off the outer layer of your enamel, getting rid of some of that stain at first, but then over time, it's going to rip off so much enamel that it's going to cause hypersensitivity, and it's also going to make your teeth yellower over time because you're removing down the enamel protective layer, and then you'll be able to see the dentin more and more and more. Now, the funniest thing about these is that if you look back at his before and afters, you can actually see the trick that all these guys play, and they always do this. If you look at the same exact picture there, oh, that's weird, one's super yellow, one's super white. But then when you look at his lips are yellow and his lips are normal over there. And that's because they add these yellow filters over the top. He could have just like literally just brushed with turmeric and spit it out and then just been like, oh, look how yellow my teeth are. Because if you ever seen someone brush with turmeric, that's what it looks like. I've seen people like put yellow, a highlighter on their teeth to make them look yellow. Basically, guys, whitening is not a secret science. It's really easy. You use hydrogen peroxide. It doesn't have to be anything else. You can use them in strips like our Lumi Smart strips. It's something nice, which I love, or they can be a hydrogen peroxide mouthwash. It can be hydrogen peroxide gel that you use. It just has to be hydrogen peroxide to safely and effectively go in there and whiten the tooth from the inside out without ripping and harming the enamel away. I would stay away from tooth powders like this, charcoal tooth powders, whitening powders, any type of powders. I really, really hate because they're very, very high on the RDA or the relative dentin abrasion limit, which means that they're going to polish and rip off your enamel. And more than likely, this guy's just trying to sell a product on TikTok Shop or something like that. And he has no medical experience at all. And basically, unfortunately, what he's doing is selling a product that's harming a lot of people's teeth. And I just don't like it. You know what else I don't like is the fact that you haven't liked and subscribed yet. I'm trying to get to 10 million before, I don't know, whoever else, because we got to beat every other oral dental professional in the world to be the very first dentist to ever get to 10 million followers. That would be great on the YouTube here. So I would appreciate it if you gave that ring a bell. And if you also see these videos popping up here, that's probably a video you want to watch because the YouTube algorithm thinks that you want to watch it. I appreciate you staying and learning with me. As always, I'm the Bentist, and we'll see you next week for the next batch of crazy dental videos. We'll see you later.